The Blocktalk podcast started because of my passion for the property management industry. I wanted to start a conversation and add some value within the industry with a diverse range of people and professionals who can add something extra. As we start out, my aim is that the podcast offers some useful insight into a variety of views, opinions, thoughts, and foresights from our guests, who include business leaders and industry experts. If you enjoy the podcast and want to find out any other information, head on over to brianwelsh.co.uk. Hello and welcome to the Blocktalk podcast with me, Brian Welsh, and Jax Bruce. Hi Jax, how are you doing?
Hi Brian, I'm good. How are you?
Life is good. So today, as we've invited Will McIlmoyle, who is our technical director and the technical director for CPL, Blockworks, and Inspect, onto the show. Will has been with CPL since 2010. And when he's not geeking out at work, he breeds bantam chickens. I'm actually reading this, and I didn't actually know that. So that's something I've learned today already. Will is happily engaged to his wife-to-be, and he's just an all-round good, really good guy. I think he wrote that himself. So
no, I didn't. I definitely didn't.
So anyway, Will's been with me in CPL for about 10 years. Well, yeah, in fact it was a 10-year anniversary last year, so I'm probably just over that. And yeah, he is all our clients love him, and he is all things technical. He's the guy that knows absolutely everything about our product set. So yeah, great guy to have around. So Will, this is where I start asking you questions. How are you doing?
Oh yeah. Thanks for the lovely introduction. I'm doing very well, thanks. Enjoying the hot weather we're getting right now. Albeit it might be a little too hot with us working from home, not in a nice air-conditioned office, but managing to get through it. And looking forward to some newfound freedom with the restrictions being eased. So hoping to get out next weekend and enjoy some of the sun if it lasts.
Yeah, well, it's more chance of lasting in Southampton, I suppose, than it has in Glasgow, where Jax and I are.
That's probably true.
That's good. So, you mentioned restrictions. How has the last year and a half been for you? How's it been coping with the pandemic and everything that we've been doing?
Yeah, so I think it's been sort of ups and downs. Obviously, right at the beginning of the lockdown, so no one knew what was going on. Everybody was just rushing to get working from home sorted. Being a technical company, we were sort of in the position where we already had that infrastructure set up. It was something that we already had in place. So that part of it wasn't too difficult getting our own staff working from home, although there were a lot of considerations we didn't think of when we first started out, and then things you don't realize until you've been working from home for a few weeks or months, in terms of sort of our hardware and how our access is set up and things like that. But it's gone okay. Another thing we had to deal with was, of course, all of our clients having to go to a working from home environment, which a lot of them wouldn't have been used to. So there were quite a few challenges there, but it didn't take that long before we kind of got into the swing of things. And I think everybody now is quite used to working from home, and it does bring a lot of benefits with it. It's obviously nice not to have the commute. Being at home has its advantages. So, for example, you can make yourself a home cooked lunch, where that might not be an option when you're in the office. You normally have a packed lunch or something else. So yeah, it's quite nice. I do certainly miss the face to face with my colleagues and also the clients, where I used to go up to Glasgow and Edinburgh and visit our clients quite frequently. I've not seen anybody since lockdown started March last year. So yeah, looking forward to kind of getting back to a bit of normality, definitely. But I'd say it's been good. Definitely learned a lot, and I think it's taught us a whole nother kind of aspect of working that we never really considered before, which I think is really good.
Yeah, I think you're right, because if you ever, I mean, I know beforehand we had well certainly in the Southampton office we had a situation where if someone wanted to work from home for any reason, they could just bang on their own PC and log into their machine in the office and kind of work from there. But it's something that we almost, I guess, didn't want to do, and actively didn't encourage people to do, and probably discouraged them actually. So, and now we're in a situation where we probably would prefer it in some ways. And you're right, your commute is saving you a bit of time. How long was your commute? Because mine's a 3 minute walk or a 1 minute drive. So yours is worse than that, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit more than that. I think it's about half an hour normal traffic.
Okay.
So it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
It's quite doable.
Oh well, it means you can roll out of your kit half an hour later, I guess. So that's probably good. Cool.
Yeah, that's right. Although I think actually I'm getting up earlier than I used to, funnily enough. I'm not sure why that is. It's probably because there's not so much to do in the evening, so I'm going to bed earlier.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that might change once we're back in the office.
Shortly, yeah. Good, cool.
Yeah.
So you did celebrate a work anniversary last year, so 10 years. So what has changed since you started at CPL? Wow, gosh, that was a long time ago. So go on, fire away, tell me what's changed.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of just the industry as a whole, I think since 2010, which was when the first iPhone or maybe like the second or third generation had come out by then, but it was really, I think at that point, smartphones are really starting to pick up, and if people didn't have one, they would have been getting one or would have had one soon. So I think that's been one of the biggest changes in the industry, is just the move to mobile devices, and just the continued uptake of people using the internet for all their services, as opposed to the old school methods of sort of telephone or post. So that's been a big change, and I guess with that it's meant that the product set that we work on or we create has changed as well. So when I joined in the company in 2010, we didn't have any mobile apps. We did have a web portal, but we didn't have any mobile app to go along with that. So that was something which we introduced, I think in 2013 or 2014. So a few years later. So we moved into that market, and then also we've got a whole raft of program technologies which are ever changing in the background, which our clients might not see or realize, or the users of our software might not see. But the sort of back end stuff is always changing and improving. So, for example, we rewrote our web portal, I think, 2011, 2012, to move away from something that's just a bit more old school, which is called a SOAP API. We moved that to become a REST API, which to most people that wouldn't mean anything, but to a programmer they'll understand that that's a much more efficient way of working. It means that it enables us to build our programs more efficiently, and we're spending less time writing code and more time implementing features and getting stuff into the product. So that's something you have to keep up with, every day. That's always changing. And I guess as well as that, in the last 10 years, our product has grown massively. We've got, so much more functionality in there, from things like the in tray. I mentioned the app. We've got other applications like Inspect and Blockworks, which now integrate with our product. We've got lots of other features that we've also added into the core product itself, whether that's new imports that we're able to do to different parts of the system, or completely new areas, such as the estimate system. Actually, that didn't exist when I started, although that was really probably 8-9 years ago that we implemented that, but that was a new feature as well. So we're always building it up. So that's been really good to see the product grow. And along with that, also our user base has grown as well. We've got a lot more companies using our software. So speaking to them, finding out what they use the software for and what they could benefit from in terms of new features being added. It's all just grown and grown, and it's been really, really fun to be a part of that and see it happen.
Excellent. Yeah, it has actually. To be fair, I suppose one thing that we all have to do is make sure we have fun at work and enjoy what we do. And it's hard work and it's graft and it's and you have problems and dare I say, or can I say, shit happens. And you've got to get over it. You've got to deal with it. Jax is probably getting me a ride for swearing on our first ever podcast, but she maybe even cut this bit out. You never know.
Absolutely fine. I can edit it out, maybe.
So no, that's really interesting and good to know as well. Good to know. So what have you learned since starting at CPL?
Oh, where would I start? I think I've learned. So much just in different areas as well, sort of. But I guess if I start from sort of a technical point of view in terms of the product, I've learned a lot about what not to do. I suppose those are probably the biggest takeaways. You learn from your own mistakes, and I'd be lying if I say there haven't been a few in the last 10 years. But I think as well as that, I've learned over the course of my career that you need to, be realistic about your sort of expectations for a project, and think carefully about what you can actually achieve. It's almost kind of sounds a bit pessimistic, but you sort of go into a project really excited, and you want to, you sort of want to deliver everything, and then you're thinking of one good idea after another. But something that I've learned is that if you bite off more than you can chew, then you're going to have a hard time chewing it. So definitely, I think one of the biggest things I've learned, and I've really practiced in sort of like the more recent years of my career, is that you need to make sure your scope is achievable, and that you're not overstretching yourself or your team.
I think Will, just if I can jump in, I think that's you've probably had to learn that because I'm always looking for new stuff and new things within the product and stuff like that. So, and I think possibly setting my expectation of what's achievable or not has probably been a big challenge as well. So, because I'm always coming up with ideas and we need to do this and we need to do that, we need to do the next thing, and I guess that you have to bring them to reality. So I can absolutely understand what you mean. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and as well as sort of learning those lessons, I've also picked up a whole load of new technologies as well, including like the sort of the mobile app stuff, which I mentioned earlier. We've got new web technologies, such as sort of like the latest MVC offering from Microsoft, and we've also got our front end frameworks like React and Angular that we've picked up and sort of learned about those over the last sort of decade. How to properly create responsive websites and web apps so that they perform across a range of devices, understanding, I guess, the extra considerations you need to make for these different products as well. So coming from a Windows desktop application and starting to get into the web and the mobile apps, there was an awful lot to learn there as well. And on top of that, also, since I've started, I've now lead a team, and that team has grown and grown over the years as well. So understanding how to support my team members and make sure that they have everything they need as well is something that I've also picked up over the decade. I'm sure I have a lot more to learn on those fronts as well.
Good. So our project or something we've been working on quite a lot recently, and you've been kind of not developing on, I don't think, but managing and putting scopes together and all these sort of things is our Blockworks product. So how's that going?
It's going really well, and you're right to say that I haven't been developing on it because I haven't. I've been more of a project manager role in this on that product. So we have a really great development team that do all the hard work and making it all work and look nice. But yeah, no, they've done a great job with it. So yeah, it's been really fun to work on a project that connects two areas of the industry that we're working together, where we've got our property managers that are currently, using our office software, and then we've been able to connect those to the contractors who are out doing the work on site. And that's been really exciting to see how that can streamline that process. It's been quite a long project, and we've kind of gone back over a few things, and we've realised that actually no, that wasn't the way to do it. We're going to change that and do it the correct way, or what we think is the correct way. So that's been good to do as well. There's been a bit of a learning process there, but it's been really really successful, I think, and especially at the point we are now, where we've got we're still in our beta testing at the minute. We're still in the 0. I think it's 0.3 is our current version, so it's not the actual live release yet, but we're seeing it's running very smoothly. The data's getting updated to the contractor almost instantly, which is really great to see, especially when the guys have put so much work into it. It's really nice to see that it's all working smoothly.
Yeah, I must admit, I've heard there's been a lot of positive feedback about it, and I suppose for me, and I always use the phrase kind of closing the circle. We've over the years, and when CPL was started, it was starting to do that one specific industry of property factors, and then we did back office stuff, and then we did links with the clients, so that that electronic conversation between the property factor and their clients. That was the next thing we did. So this whole contractor thing, almost for me, closes the circle of all of that technology, and means that we can pretty much have end-to-end digital processing or electronic processing, whatever you want to call it, from client to property factor to contractor back to property factor and to client again. So it kind of just closes that loop, and it's a brilliant product. And yeah, you're right. It's taken some time. It's been a long project, but we're right on the cusp of launching that version 1. So that's really, really good.
Yeah, I'd agree with that closing the circle kind of analogy, because that is kind of how it feels, and then it's a nice, satisfying feeling to know that you kind of that is all sort of covered in our application, which means that we can now track and make sure that all these jobs and estimates and invoices are all being processed as they should, and we can report on that and make sure that we're not missing anything and nothing's falling through the cracks, which I think is really nice to know. It's a good gives you good peace of mind.
Yeah, and I guess our job in life, being kind of software developers, or well, not me anymore, far too old for that. But as a company, our role is to provide good, solid, robust systems to people that give them a huge amount of efficiencies and allow them to streamline their business. And Blockworks does that in spades for the property factoring market and for the contractors as well. So it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so how do you see the industry we work in changing over the next 5 years?
So I think over the next 5 years, I just think we're going to see a lot more utilization of the internet, or the Internet of Things, as this is now being called. So just everything connected to the cloud. A lot more services just going fully online, being able to access it anywhere. I really think that's going to be where, I mean, it's already sort of moving in that direction, especially with the lockdown. I think that's given it a right boost. It's really moved it forward, because where we're in lockdown now, moving between the office environment, between the home environment, having all your stuff held in the internet or in the cloud and accessible from anywhere is invaluable now. And so I think that's going to be where the internet the technology continues to sort of go towards, and that will mean more mobile based apps, more web-based apps, more browser-based apps, and I think you're going to see less sort of native desktop applications as well because of that.
Okay, yeah, and that's certainly your view for where we take CPL over the next 5 years, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's definitely the way forward for the sort of modern day working person now.
Right. Okay. Good. Excellent. Okay, Jax, you've not spoken much, so I think that kind of wraps up our technical kind of thing. So I think you wanted to ask all of our the people we invite onto this podcast some quirky questions at the end. So how about you pick them up?
Cool. Okay. Hi.
Hi, Jax.
I've just went at my knee off the drawers.
Who did you steal them from? Okay.
What's your biggest failure across your entire career, and what did you learn from it?
There's been a few, I won't lie. Like I said, I think earlier on, you learn from your mistakes. I think one of the biggest things, or the one that always sticks with me, is a big mess up, if you will, it was actually at my previous place of employment before CPL. I worked for a company that dealt with patient management systems, and I was working on a project completely on my own, and I was to write this feature, and then I was a junior back then, so I was meant to write this feature and then have a code review, get it signed off, and then I could submit it to the code base. And I was sort of a week in, and I was having an issue with it. I decided that it would be best if I just sort of reverted back to what it was before, and then sort of take it step by step, try again, see where my problem was coming up. But what I accidentally did at the time, because I was quite new with the source control system back then as well, is I had reverted all of my changes that I'd worked on the whole project for the last week, and it was gone. It completely disappeared. I didn't have any backup, and I asked a couple of colleagues, sort of in a little sort of whisper behind the monitor, like, is there any way I can get this back? And they had let me know that if I hadn't checked it in or saved it somewhere else, it was probably gone. So yeah, that wasn't great. I'd lost a week's worth of work, which I had to then do again. So there was a couple of late nights to catch up there. But yeah, I think the lesson learned there is always make sure you save your work. And if you're going to do something drastic like revert changes, just make sure you double check and triple check that it's all there.
I think.
So yeah, I think that's the one that stuck with me.
It's like everyone's got a story to tell around not saving stuff and losing all their work, haven't they? Probably.
That's right.
I'm just glad you never did that at CPL.
Yeah. I probably lost a few minor things then, but yeah, I mean, nowadays with, like I said again, with the cloud working and everything that comes with that, everything is backed up now by default. You have version control on just your files. By default, we use OneDrive here at CPL, and that has version control on everything. So if you accidentally delete a file, you can get it back, no problem. So that's just another thing that comes with this sort of cloud-based working, which is really good.
Cool. Good. Our next, almost finished. Next quirky question is: if you ruled the world for a day, what would you do?
Yeah, I think I'd probably make a big mess of things, really. But I think if I ruled the world today, I think I would try and, I don't know, get the world leaders to do some sort of sit down and really look at our climate change problem. And I think it would take more than a day, to be fair. But if I could make any sort of headway with that, I feel that would be what I would want to do. I think it is a big issue now, and I think a lot of people sort of don't want to acknowledge it for convenience sake, maybe, but I think it's time that they do sit down and do something. So yeah, I think something along those lines, maybe try and get them to listen. But yeah, probably more than one day would be needed, as the next day I'm sure it would just go back to normal and they'd forget I'd ever said anything.
Yeah, I think we probably need a few people to rule the world for a day that had the same idea as you on that one, so we could stretch
Exactly.
it over a couple of weeks. But no, it's an admirable aspiration. I'm with you on that. And our final quirky question: when you're 70 and look back at your life, what will you be glad you did or feel proud of? Or is there something you've done or want to do?
I think. I think 70 is quite a way off, so there's quite a fair few years before I get there. So hopefully I'll have achieved a fair bit more than I have now. But I mean, as of where I am right now, I think I'd be proud of. I think mostly would be the relationships I've made in my career, both with my colleagues and also my our clients as well. You know, some of our clients have been with us since I started, and I've sort of known those for over a decade now, and I feel that there's many different sides to a business, but it always comes back to people, and it's people that make the business happen, and on both sides as well. So I think I'd like to look back and say I could be proud that I've given everybody that I've sort of worked with in my career a fair shout, and I've been fair to them, and I've given them the time they deserve, and I've given them sort of my time and my effort that they deserve, especially with my colleagues and the people in my team. I'd like to look back and say, I definitely gave them everything that I should have in terms of my time and knowledge, and also support when they need it. I think if going forward, if I could try and achieve something, I suppose I'd like to be able to look back and say, yes, those companies and products I've worked on, they were a success, and however long they lasted, because nothing lasts forever, but it would be good to know that they had a good run, and they gave some people some real benefits.
Oh, very, very corporate answer. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, from a personal point of view, I don't know. I'd probably quite like to travel a bit more. Seems a bit of a silly thing to think about right now with lockdown and not really being able to go anywhere. But I'd certainly like to see a bit more of the world. I think I've only ever been out of Europe once, and that was to America like 12 years ago. So that's certainly something on my bucket list, but lots of time for that.
Yeah, so much to see, so little time.
Precisely.
Ryan, do you want to finish up?
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for doing those 2 quirky questions. And Will, they were good answers. Good answers. Yeah, traveling is something that I love doing as well. So, okay. So thanks, Will. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the answers and for joining us on our podcast.